Hello and via live. Hello, welcome. My name is Christian. I'm the host of the Disruptive Chef Entrepreneur Show. And today we're talking about basics, and that's financial management in the kitchen. Let's get started. Hello again. My name is Christian. I'm the Disruptive Chef Entrepreneur host. And today we don't talk about mind stuff and all other stuff. Today we talk about basics. And our basics we're going to talk about today is financial management. It's not a sexy thing to talk about, but you probably heard it said that 9 out of 10 restaurants fail is not because they don't make amazing food, is because we miss the basics. And sometimes within the basics is understand the financial management of a kitchen or for a small restaurant. Today I will share my few points I have, what I have seen over the years, what to look out for in order to run a successful restaurant. So first off, thanks a lot for listening in. I really appreciate your continued support. But what I want to talk about today is really basic. And a lot of the things we're going to talk about today, you guys know, but I want to make sure that we just not knowing it, that we also implement it. And you probably heard it said, knowing it without implementing is really not knowing. Knowing and implementing will help you to run a successful business. And you can't be a culinary chef disruptor if you don't run a basic financially savvy business. So for me, starting out is just the budgeting basics. Everybody should create a detailed budget. It's really simple to do that. You just look at, hey, what are my costs for ingredients? What is my cost for labor? What are some of my utility costs? What are some of my rents? And what are some of the staples I have? And we think of this as being basic or everybody shall understand. But I was at a restaurant a few days ago where I asked him, hey, when was the last time you budgeted for the restaurant? And the chef told me, hey, I just didn't have time. So I can give you with a very strong degree of certainty how this restaurant will work out. So budgeting basics, just do it. And I encourage you to create your own simple budget for your kitchen, understanding what are my ingredient costs, because I can't improve from there if I don't look at it. Ingredients cost, labor, what is my utilities and rents are some of the basics I need to do. Then, front of the house cost and some additional things I have. So write a simple budget for your kitchen, and you will be amazed what you will learn. Then, when you have that budget, there needs to be some controls in place, like food cost, waste, portion size, supplier negotiations. Um, I encourage you to just take your restaurant and say, hey, what would it look like if I can have my costs reduced by 20% by implementing a better portion control or have some supply agreements. And as you guys know, we run a GPO. So if you guys need some help with cost control and GPOs, please reach out to us. We're more than happy to put you in touch with our teams and help you get the best suppliers into your back of the house as possible. I have a really good chef friend of mine with me from the UK this week. And every time we go out to eat, she looks at me and she says, what is it with you guys? The portion size here in the US are so big. Do you really need an 8 ounce? Could a 6 ounce be proficient? Why do you guys have such big portions? And it's a really good question because sometimes we just make it too complicated. We feel we need to do an 8 ounce burger, whereas 6 ounce would be equally as good and maybe has some better customer feedback. So, cost control, just look at it and give yourself a goal on how you could reduce cost. Because as you do this, you go into the next step, which I call menu engineering. Analyze your menu and determine what is a profitable item and what is not. There's this simple step we always use, we call stars. It's a high profit, high popular item. Then we have the plow horse, which is a low profit but high popular product. Then we have the bustle, which is a high profit, low popularity. And then we have the dogs, which are low profit and low popularity. What I encourage you to do is do this for all of your menu items, and then promote the stars and the bustles because they will help you make some money. So I encourage you to look at your menu and apply these principles we talked about to enhance some of your profitability. Because if you have a low profit, low popular item on the menu, it just needs to go. And I encourage you to do this every 3 4 months, because as prices changes, as audience changes, depends on which part of the country you are, this is really important to do, because you want to have some products out that people love, which are highly profitable. And we're not just highly profitable, but also which are very popular. And by focusing on the stars and the bustles, you will see you will do that. And then you can also overlay a pricing strategy model. I have a really good friend of mine who runs an amazing bakery, and what he realized that most of the people did not come in for bread. They came in for some of the sweets and some of the really nice French pastries he did. So he developed a pricing strategy which was more on the value based side. So he had a loaf of bread for $6, and he realized more people came in because of that value based pricing model and bought additional stuff. He says, I reduced my bread by $1.50, but I increased my profits because people bought some of the more profitable item. So look at it. Can you apply a cost plus model or value based pricing model? So look at the pricing model, and I encourage you to experiment with different pricing models to find out what works best in your market, and do this quite often. You will realize how this has a positive impact on your bottom line. And then we need to overlay inventory control, accurate inventory tracking. When you get product in, that you rotate it. Make sure that the software you have is clearly understood by everybody who is using it, because it doesn't matter if you have an amazing software if people don't use it to the capabilities and haven't really understanding it. And what we find in the industry, that a lot of the people using a software and do accurate inventory tracking, they can reduce waste by up to 15% because they're rotating product. They know they don't over purchase. They know they have a pricing strategy in place which works. So I encourage you, find a software which works for you and the facility you have, and then overlay a strong inventory management process. It will make all of your difference. So when you did that piece, we need to overlay labor control. Optimize your labor control. A good schedule can have a huge impact. Cross training your staff could have a huge impact. And I work with restaurants all the time, which had huge saving by the labor cost adjusting. What they did is they use a POS system or something where they can track when is our most busy time and they have more staff in, and they schedule based on what the data comes back. It's data driven decision making, and from there they have some of the staff do multiple roles. As it's slower, it reduces the need for extra hires. So by cross training it and have staff available when you know you're going to be busiest will help run your labor cost. And managing the labor cost can have a huge impact at the end of the month. So you do your inventory, make sure you have also a labor management tool in place. And when you have all of them in place, the next thing we need to do, we need to find a way to track financial performance. And that's one of the things I see a lot with chefs. They not 100% really understand the financial statements. They have no way of monitoring the health of the business through that because they really don't understand it. So what I want you to do is break down a profit and loss statement. If you don't really understand, sit down with somebody, take a class, go to a program, because when you understand revenue model, cost of goods sold, gross profits, operating expenses, and net profits, you will have a very good scenario on what your business will look like. So I encourage you to review your financial statements quite often, in the beginning, weekly. And as you get more proficient on it, you can do it bi-weekly or even monthly. But it could have a huge impact if you have somebody else do it with you, if you don't 100% understand it. Sometimes we get so busy, and that piece within chefs, it's sometimes they're not so strong at. So I encourage you to do the right thing and review your financial statements as often as you can to really have a clear understanding, because you could leverage some technology. There's a lot of great POS systems out there. There's some carts inventory management systems. There is some lot of really cool stuff out there. Do you have the most up-to-date software? Do you using something which really still runs on a floppy disk? I hope that's not the case, but overlay and investigate some new technology. I recommend evaluating and implementing a technology solution that fits not just your kitchen needs, but the overall operation efficiencies. So really, really important as we move down the rank. And then finally, is clearly understanding that financial statement, understanding all of the components of the financial statements and how significant they are in your operation. It's important to understand an income statement, a balance sheet, cash flow statements, because it will help address your financial weakness within your operation. And you can have some high operation expense because there's just some things or one thing I didn't pay attention to. Maybe I overscheduled, or I had an item on the menu for too long, which was a low profit, low popular item. And then I had some waste. I encourage you to take a course or workshop for you to really clearly understand the financial impact of that. And for me, that's a really big one. I have a good friend of mine. She had two restaurants, and she had to close both of them because they did a really good job at an amazing food. They did good job overall. They just didn't look at the financials. They didn't have the proper inventory management system. And their restaurant was in business for two generations and had to close both of them. For me, just understanding the financial statement is huge. And then finally, put or build in a financial cushion. Our industry is a little bit up and down, and there might be an unexpected downturn, but you want to have a financial cushion in place for at least up to 3 months of operation expenses. So it allows you to continue staff your facility and have great quality. I encourage you to develop a savings plan that builds in a financial reserve for the next year. So I know there was a lot of things we talked about, from budgeting, cost control, menu engineering, pricing strategy, inventory management, labor cost, financial understanding on the performance of your facility, also how to investigate technology, understand the financial statements, and how to build in a financial cushion. I encourage you to do all of these steps. And I'm a step guy. So we have these 10 steps, and I encourage you to do them one by one. Share this recording with somebody who needs to hear it, or share it with your staff, or share it with your sous chef or the executive chef. It's really important to understand these 10 basic principles on how to run a restaurant, and a successful restaurant. We're talking a lot about becoming a disruptor in the industry. It's hard to disrupt. It's hard to run a great restaurant if you have that struggle of financial insecurity within your facility. Managing these 10 steps will help you to have a good understanding how your operation runs and how the financials feed in to your final goal. Because we want you to have a restaurant you can be proud of and grow and share and live on to your family. And you can only do this by following this 10 steps on a weekly, monthly basis. So I encourage you to invest in yourself. I encourage you to invest into continuous learning. And I also encourage you to apply these strategies in your kitchen and share with us your experiences on the notes or comment section below. So I hope that was helpful to be a financial savvy chef, because in order for you to put out great food, you need to understand the things which go with it. And if you have somebody in your team, encourage them to listen to this recording over and over again until they really have a clear understanding on how they can run a successful business and make this a fun business. For me, the food service industry is just absolutely amazing. There's no industry like it. But not managing this properly is not the way you want it to run, because I don't want you to have to struggle. These basic tools, or the basic 10 steps we give you, will give you a clear understanding how to do that. So I hope this was helpful. For me, I felt I wanted to share this week because I had multiple chefs reach out to me because they were struggling financially in their industry. And I also had one of my really good friends close two restaurants because we didn't understand the basics on how to run it. So until next time, remember to disrupt your kitchen, fire up your career, stay hungry for change. I'm Christian, your disruptive chef, entrepreneur, host. I'm signing off for today. Remember to be the challenge, be the change, and be the chef who sets the world on fire. Until next recording or the next live show, please stay disruptive and give us your comments on the comments below. Thanks, everybody. We see you.